when you upload your music to a streaming platform, guess what? Culture is currency. You're giving them money, right? Because they're marketing their platform based on the music that's on there, right? It's like data, right? You're giving it up to them, right? So think about that, right? Don't think I need to be on Spotify because that's where everybody's at. No, think about what Spotify gains from you. Our platform decided to approach this differently. How do we solve this problem, right? And I looked at Spotify and Apple Music, and if you ask them, okay, how much do you pay artists? They're gonna be like, well, it's complicated, bring out the spreadsheet. If you do this, the label has to get their cut.
You have to scroll.
Yeah. What if right off the bat we split that 50-50? Right?
What's up, y'all? It's your boy DJ Busby, and from the time you hear the voice, you know it's only up from here. It's the Up From Here podcast, and today, people, we got an extremely special episode, and this episode is all about streaming. We're gonna get into all of that and more, and it's a very important subject, especially in this day and age. So, today I want to welcome none other than Kimani from the Loud Army. What's going on, sir?
Thanks for having me.
Anytime. So, Kimani, today we got a lot to talk about, and sometimes we will prepare questions and whatnot, but today I want it to be like a free-form conversation, because I got a lot of questions, especially when it comes to streaming. Now, today, you're going to be educating us. You're going to be letting us know about the streaming world and what you've got going on, especially in the realm of soca music. So, when it comes to streaming, now, I am not a fan of the platform. And that's not from a personal standpoint. It's more so because I'm a DJ. I feel like I have all the music. So why do I need to join a streaming service? But for the average person out there that may be questioning, should I get a streaming service for music? What is a streaming service and what's the value in it?
Nice. Well, thanks for teeing that up.
Yeah.
I would say the reason why you don't like streaming is because a lot of streaming platforms have kicked the DJ out of the equation,
Exactly.
which I think is completely irresponsible and silly.
Yeah.
And I think it comes from the fact that they don't really understand music as a culture. So stream, that's one thing we want to do differently. And I'm already having so many ideas of how DJs have a special role on the platform.
Nice.
I would say streaming really comes down to one question, right? When the MP3 hit the stage in, I think, like 2003, it hit the music industry badly, but who did it hurt? It really hurt record labels, right? But artists who might not have been heard in a previous generation where there was such a high barrier to spend to get your music produced and then in all of these stores, right? They really won when you could just download their file on the computer. But the business model of it wasn't fully figured out yet. And streaming comes around to really solve that problem, but creates a new problem in the process, right? So whereas we had all these different ecosystems of how you could hear music and then go and purchase music with record stores, parties, things like that, that overnight gets replaced with, a small group of companies that control the global music industry, right? In streaming. So I think streaming really solved the problem of people wanting to experience music, not necessarily own it, but created a new problem where there's a lot of concentration of power amongst a very small number of streaming services. So I think streaming is really about flexibility. It's about having access to music when you want to hear it, because music is an experience to me. It's not necessarily something that's a commodity. So it really fixed that aspect of the music industry. But again, now we got to continue to fix that model, and that's where stream comes in.
So we're going to definitely get into the issues where that's concerned. Like you said, there's the bad with the good, so to speak. We're going to get into that, and especially with artists, because there's a huge elephant in the room where that's concerned. But before we get there, to touch on what you said about DJs and the streaming world, for a large period of time, our main source where we put up our mixes, which is SoundCloud, there was a period of time where we were really ducking like a banner. we would have to say, okay, no, we might have to leave that Drake song out of the mix but for a while, we were ducking getting banned on there. I remember waking up one morning, Spotify wiped all DJs off. And I remember vividly, like, I went on Instagram that day and I saw everybody's story. Like, oh my God, my Spotify's down. I said, this is crazy. So they don't even want us as a part of that equation of music, which, there's a dollar amount to think about, and I get that. So let's get into that component of it. Before, there was a traditional mechanism of selling music via a physical device. That could be from back to 8-track, cassette tapes, CDs, MP3s, and now streaming, right? But when it was an actual physical item, you could kind of justify what you spend on it. Streaming these days, what's like the average cost to access music online? And what's the difference between back in the day where you buy that one album versus having access to streaming?
So streaming really comes about as a model of access versus ownership. So, I mean, the average streaming platform is like $9 and up kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I would say the difference between the two models is like Apple tried to do it, right? Apple tried to quote unquote save the music industry. And that's a very, very loaded, I guess, like mission, right?
Yeah.
Because when you talk about saving the music industry, who are we saving, right? Are we saving artists? Are we saving labels? Are we saving an ecosystem that thrives? But Apple, came about to kind of solve that equation, and the music industry really loved that. So we're talking about iTunes, right? You would go on iTunes and you would buy digital, like assets, I guess. You'd buy digital music, right? And nobody was doing, well, not that nobody was doing it. It actually did help to recover revenues, but people were still using Kazaa. They were using LimeWire.
Yeah.
I know you remember those days, right?
Napster. Yeah.
So the difference though between that, like iTunes, and then what came about in terms of streaming is that people are actually making a choice to go over to streaming, right? Like, of course, like it came with a little bit of friction at first because people don't like to do new things. Nobody likes to do new things.
Yeah.
Like we all like to do what we're used to and what's tried and true, right? But slowly but surely, it really has landed as the way that that people want to experience music, and music sales have been recovering and rebounding ever since, after almost 2 or 3 decades of decline, right?
Wow.
So when you think about streaming, I think it is a model that people like want. I think it is a way that people want to access music, right? And when you think about it, like you're continually like paying, right? So whereas an artist used to sell one copy and then it's gone, right? Now the streaming platform is receiving that. Like, let's say a CD used to be like anywhere from $5 to $15, right? Now you're constantly paying that every single month, right?
Right.
But you're getting access to the world's music. As a member, and like you can think of anything that used to have a membership even before it was all digital, right? When you pay, there's an expectation of what you're receiving. Like even think about like renting something, like you're paying something monthly and then you're expected to maybe have a house and then it's maintained by the landlord, whatever have you, right? So like subscriptions kind of denote a relationship, whereas a one-time payment kind of denotes like, hey, take this and do whatever you have, like do whatever you please, right? So I think streaming is actually a way that the music industry, like it has recovered the music industry, right? But who has it recovered and why, right? So I think with streaming, there is an opportunity for everybody to eat, right? But I think only one side of the equation so far in terms of the record labels have been considered. So when you were talking about SoundCloud, to build on that, the reason why that happened overnight is because the labels wanted a piece of the action and they started to invest in SoundCloud.
Spotify. Yeah.
And Spotify as well, but SoundCloud especially, because that used to be the platform that DJs used to go off on, right? Then all of a sudden we're seeing flagged, copyrighted music. Now, when we're thinking about creators, right, of course they should be credited, compensated, etc., right? But it's the labels that are really like have benefited from that whole motion, right?
Exactly.
So it wasn't really the creator, but they used the creator as a way to kind of like justify this kind of like hostile takeover, let's say.
So when we get into the conversation of finances behind the music and gaining money or sales based off of what product you're putting out, again, back in the day, it was a very tangible item that you could literally go on the street corner and talk to 100 people in a day, and one of them might buy that one CD for $5. But at the end of the day, I have $5 in my pocket. A huge wake-up call that people should realize, and especially you studying the space. I've heard rumblings of it, but let's say you tomorrow put out a song and put it on SoundCloud. What is your payment of one stream? What does that look like? Like, what is the dollar amount for one stream for an artist?
Got you. On my platform?
For anybody. Like in a general sense, before your platform even existed.
Okay, perfect. Thanks for that. You teed me out there. So this is the craziest thing, right? Spotify is collecting, $9 from me, $10 from you, Apple Music, Amazon, all of that. And then when somebody streams that artist's song, the one that you came on the platform to see thrive, they're getting 30% of a penny. So, you know, back in the day, you used to say, whoa, they're paying pennies. They're paying pennies. Now they're not even paying pennies. You got to add up a lot of those percentages to make a penny, right?
Pennies don't even exist.
Right, right,
so
right.
That's crazy.
Right. Yeah. And you hear Snoop Dogg complain about it. You hear a lot of artists complain about it. But at the end of the day, I mean, the record labels are doing well, right? The streaming platforms are doing phenomenally well. In the biggest crash that we've had in our lifetimes, they were getting record profits, right? Now, I have no issue with success, but I think everybody should be able to eat, especially if a model is working and thriving, right? Yeah. So our platform decided to approach this differently, right?
And to be honest, this is why you're here. Because when I saw this on socials, and big up DJ Gel, he was the one that posted, I'm teaming up with Loud Army for several initiatives, especially in Soca. And from the time I saw that and you connected with me, it was a no-brainer. I wanted you to have this conversation. So you're here now to explain why you're going to try to be at least a more fair service provider where streaming is concerned. So I'll leave the floor to you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So basically, I was like, how do we solve this problem, right? Mm-hmm. And I looked at Spotify and Apple Music, and if you ask them, okay, how much do you pay artists? They're going to be like, well, it's complicated, you know, bring out the spreadsheet. If you do this, the label has to get their cut. You
have to scroll.
Yeah. And then they're like 30% of a penny. Yeah. What percentage is that, though?
Looking like that thing from Snowman, Frosty the Snowman. Yeah.
Right? And I was just like, you know what, this could be a lot simpler. What if when somebody comes onto the platform, if they came in because they liked an artist and they wanted to support that artist, what if right off the bat we split that 50-50, right? So instead of having to do all this math to figure out what percentage of our subscription is going to artists, like literally it's a referral-based platform, right? So as our platform is different in the fact that every song is its own its own link, right? So when you share a stream link with somebody, which is the name that we give to links that are associated with songs, you get a preview of it, and if you decide to join, you get taken through a paywall that is directly connected to that artist. And that's how we know to split that subscription with that artist 50-50. And we keep splitting that subscription for as long as you remain a member. So if you stay for 1 month, we split that with the artist for that month. If you stay for 12 months, then for that year, every time you've paid your membership, that will go back to that specific artist.
Okay. A public person trying to gain access to the platform to say, I want to join in and subscribe to your service is a different price, I'm guessing, from an artist subscribing.
Actually, artists don't pay, right?
No.
So this is what's crazy about streaming services is that they're paying you a fraction of a penny and they're charging you to get on their platform.
But that's what I thought it was. So you're not charging the artist?
No, it's completely free to join my platform, to upload your music, because I see music as currency. And I tell artists I tell artists this all the time. You're giving Spotify their product that they're selling to listeners like me, right? And it just seems wild to me that you have to pay. Now it's a little, they're not directly paying Spotify, you're paying an aggregator, you know what I mean? And then that aggregator is allowed to upload to Spotify. But these complexities in the music industry that a lot of people take for granted are there for a reason. When these platforms came about, and I'm gonna spit game. I don't know how far this will get, but hopefully I don't go missing. But but when these platforms came about, record labels were at the table saying, okay, that's great, but you're not kicking us out the room. You're not kicking us out the table. Yeah. So there were these kind of like standards that were agreed upon in order for music to get on the platform. So those standards can only be met by the major streaming platforms, by the major labels, right? So DistroKid has to maintain a certain amount of uploads per month, and it's a ridiculous amount. It's probably 10,000 or something songs that they have access to that they can upload to streaming to get that check that says, okay, yeah, you can upload to Spotify, you can upload to Apple Music, and that all has a backstory because when Spotify came onto the scene, they had to play nice with record labels, right? Otherwise, where are they going to get their music from?
That's the real cartel. They will come for you. They will come for you.
And this kind of goes to the way that I talk about streaming and the music industry. It can seem like I'm demonizing the labels and the streaming platforms. But what I believe is that if everybody eats, it's going to be beneficial to everybody, right? I think people people are starting to feel about streaming the way that they felt about radio. They're feeling like, I don't really feel like it's better, definitely better than radio, right? But the labels also took to radio the same way that they're taking to streaming. They wanted to kind of have great control and power over it so that when they put out an artist, they have the airwaves, right?
Yeah.
It's a similar thing that they're doing with streaming. And the thing is that it's okay to let the platform be democratic so that people can find what they want to hear. It is okay. And you can win and you can exist, and labels have a role to play in the music industry, like naturally. So we don't have to like create platforms that are biased towards record labels in order for record labels to get bread.
Right.
No, so I feel like we're holding back the way that the music industry is being approached right now. I think it's holding back music. And I wanted my streaming platform to inspire and encourage like the industry to accept that, hey, this could be done a different way where everybody can eat, and actually like it's going to be beneficial to everybody, you know?
That's amazing. When it comes to you now building a whole new platform, so we're talking Loud Army and Stream, these components and what you're building here, does it ruffle feathers on the other side? And I guess a more important question would be, you putting music on your platform now, are you able to put like the best of the best on your platform problem free? So there's no barrier to entry, like you just created this infrastructure and you could put every hot song on there right now and you won't get any copyright issues.
So our platform is an independent platform.
Okay.
So it has to be your music that you have permission to upload. And the second that a song is flagged, we'll look into it, we'll investigate, and usually first we'll take it down.
Yeah.
We'll take it down just out of an abundance of caution.
It's more so independent creators that cultivate an experience within one app.
Yeah, that's what I would say. Like, I think the way that we created our platform is that we had the freedom to make a platform for listeners.
Yeah.
Whereas streaming platforms, again, are majorly owned by record labels, right? And a part of the scheme is, if you listen to Drake once, the algorithm's gonna be like, you like Drake?
Yeah.
Here's some Drake. You've been listening to Drake all year. You must love Drake, right? Now, Drake is talented, right? But there are other artists out there that are talented as well. And so, but a streaming platform like Spotify, whose partners are record labels, whether you want to call them partners or not, they have a big stake in their business, right? So, if I have a big stake in anything, right, you're gonna have to do what I say, because it's like I'm funding this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So with our platform, we had the freedom to create a platform for music lovers. So what is the metric that gets you to the top? It's, are you liked the most? Are you shared the most? And are you listened to the most? And naturally, we have 500 artists on the platform now, over 1,000 songs on the platform now.
That's amazing.
And I just believe that it could be there. Like, I just believe that independent artists could deliver good quality music.
Yeah.
And now the platform shows me that, because I go onto the hottest platform and it's just hit after hit after hit of songs you've never heard of.
And it's relating it to like DJs as well. When it comes to SoundCloud, like, it's a similar experience. We all upload to one central place. You could find DJs on every other platform, but the main one for DJs, at least in our industry, is SoundCloud. And there may be a DJ that never posts online, but he's the most amazing DJ in the world, right? And that community experience, I completely understand as a selling point. And I think it's something that, especially if you love the culture and whatnot, it's something to definitely look into. But when it comes to, again, what I said at the start, that's your competition. And whether you like it or not, you have to look at it like that. And that's the craziest part. What are you going to do to differentiate yourself besides the community aspect to say, you guys should come here and buy my platform?
Nice, I love that. Keep me up again. So it's not easy getting people to buy anything.
Exactly.
People don't like to buy
Believe
stuff.
me, I know. I've been doing this 17 years.
They want it, but they don't want to buy it.
But right before we turn on the cameras, what were we just talking about? People always asking, yo, how can I get a tsunami ticket? I even need a tsunami. People don't, I understand. Yeah. It's hard to sell.
So it's like, it's important to get into the mind of people, right? And that's the first thing that we did, right? Is that we realized that people actually do want to make ethical choices, but it can't be more expensive or inconvenient. So one, our app is not more expensive. It's priced at what you're expecting from a streaming service.
Yeah.
And one, it's not inconvenient. Right now, it's in its MVP form, which is what like tech entrepreneurs call like a minimal viable product, right? So we focused on the most important features, right? But if you go on there, you're getting what you asked for, which is quality music. Now, you have to give it that chance, right? And so that was the biggest part, figuring that out. And that's when through doing this, I had to run a lot of events for artists, because if I was going to release a platform, it had to have music on it. So I had to cater to artists, let them know what we're about. And we created a bunch of events. And people really liked them. And I was like, damn. That was the biggest surprise to me, because I was like, I'm talking about all this stuff. I mean, I'm a nerd, right? So like all this tech stuff, and everybody's like, wow. But I just want to meet artists. I was like, okay, whatever. I'll throw open mics then, right? And people really loved it. When I reached the point where I couldn't run it, it was just too expensive. People would always say, man, I missed that open mic. I missed that event that you did. So it made me realize like, wow, this is actually a time where people are very, very in need of community and meeting people and in-person experiences. So when we started creating the streaming platform, I didn't lose that lesson. And we decided to say, hey, what if you could experience the music in person as well? So we run events for our members every other month, featuring these artists that are just coming up, right? And it's exciting to me because you could be a part of that story. Like everybody wants to say they were with Drake before Drake was Drake. You know, they knew Beyonce before Beyonce was Beyonce. In our on our platform, we're looking at data, so we're identifying hit makers. Like the people on our platform, they don't have one hits. Whenever they're good, they're good. They hit after hit after hit, and I'm confident that they're going to be on bigger and bigger stages. And even
you have the analytics to see that now.
Exactly, I have the data to see it, right? So we take the cream of the crop, and we put them on stages. We run these underground concerts, and now we're having a Fete. That's going to be a first in Loud history, hidden Fete, and we come and we demonstrate. We're like, okay. Tickets for an event could be starting at $9 and up. So that's the price of our membership. So we run these members only events where people can see firsthand the caliber of talent, but they have to be a member on the platform. And then when they leave the event, they can continue to experience the music through the streaming platform.
Nice. So we're going to definitely get into Hidden Fete. Before that, I do want to talk about you know, outsourcing artists now, and especially young talent, because that's the tone of what I got from Gel's post that you guys were collaborating on. Before we touch into that, and I'm just lining myself up, before we get into that, what you said about paid subscriptions and having people pay what they're accustomed to already paying is a huge thing that I want people to take away. Because I have done free events, free, all night. All you have to do is download your ticket. And the attendance of those, I might have 800 ticket downloads, 1,000, only about 250 to 300 show up at best every single time I do it. And I've done it about 5 times. But Tsunami, that is my highest priced event, is selling like hotcakes. So that is a telltale that it's not always like free that people want. What do people really want? And that's the experience you're curating. That's everything behind the scenes that you may not realize from the outside in, but as somebody that's actively in this space, it's a very important thing. Now, with the younger generation of artists and new artists that are trying to get in the game, even in the soca scene, I want to get more into that space because that's a touchy topic on socials. Young artists, you know, we don't see as many of them today. And there's a lot of reasons that people may speculate on as to why, right? You don't see a lot of young artists because the older generation likes to stick with a circle of people they're accustomed to. You don't see young artists because it's very hard for them to get into those spaces. They don't have the money. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. What is your initiative in terms of boosting the space of young artists in soca music?
Okay, it's incredible that you brought this up because literally while my sister was doing my twist today, I told her, I was listening to the mix and I was like, this should have happened 10 years ago. We were listening to, like, this is a nice little like insert. We got a mix coming out with Gel, and I was like showing her the early, you know, giving her a sneak peek of it. And she was like, what do you mean? I think she thought I was like, you know, like saying that my initiative is late, right? And I was like, no. Listen to these artists, right? The quality that's on here, right? And some of the artists that are pumping out an incredible music on that mix, they're in their 30s, their 40s, right? Now we know this is soca, right? You could do like you have soca artists that are in their 50s still doing their thing. Like that's not age is just a number. But what I'm trying to say is that somebody should have did a mix for the fresh underground artists, the guys that are on my mix right now 10 years ago, right? And they should have had that, even if they weren't producing the music even at the quality that it is now, they should have had that moment, that chance, that opportunity. That's what we grew up with, right? I feel like the way that soca became what it is for me is that I was always hearing new and fresh music, right? And so I think I took that really personally, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Because going back to our early conversation, when streaming took over and a couple companies decided that they were going to be, the lords of this new world, a couple companies are not able to understand music. Music is it's culture, right? And there's like almost an infinite amount of culture out there, right? And so I think one of the things that it affects is the ability for there to be niche genres for music that's not quite in the mainstream to flourish as well as it has, right? I came from a place my parents come from a place called Grenada, right? And I've been listening to Grenadian soca before you could ever imagine. I grew up on that. Nobody knew what it was in 2005, but I was. They
don't know about 10 job commandments.
You know what I mean? They don't know about that. They don't know about Mr. Killer when he was talking about roly poly. You know what I mean? They don't know, right? Only we knew. Molasses, like you know what I mean? Only we knew, and that was a beautiful thing. So like the thing about Grenada is that when it's Spice Mass, it's local music only. If I go down there, it's Spice Mass. Yeah, there's soca from all over. But in that time in August, it's just Grenadian music, right? And so there's just beauty in like being so focused in on your country, on your niche, on your music, right? Kind of thing. It's not always about what's the most popular and what's the most mainstream, right? And then now look at Grenadian soca. Everybody has to have a Grenadian segment in their DJ set, or like, what are you doing? Similarly with St. Lucia too. Like it wasn't as well known, but right. So like the journey of Loud, it started a long time ago. In 2015 is when I like really established a project. I was still in school, whatever have you. Yeah. We're almost on 9 years, but in developing the project, that whole month that I did, all I was listening to was Grenadian soca. And I'll give you a timestamp because Shelldown was just coming to be popular, right? And I was like, nobody, like Shelldown, I feel like really introduced people to Grenadian music and jab and everything. And I was just like, people don't know. Right, so I'm not
I would say like probably the Playing a Wicked Jab era was what I saw that with.
Yeah.
And then it kind of dipped for a bit because the other islands came into play. But yeah, No Behavior was like the rise right back. Yeah. And then from there, like the Talpris, the Lavas, the Jab King, they kept it going. Yeah, those are staples. Yeah, as you said, I can't be a DJ.
People still don't even know. Since I'm born, I give in trouble. They don't even know.
Yeah. Big tunes.
And the thing about Grenadian soca is that like it's a small island, right? So a lot of, and this is not to say, I think there's beauty in creating something incredible without having all of the same access to the highest production in the world, right? So you kind of have to listen and really think about what you're listening to, right? And now Grenadian soca is so popular, the quality is at here, right? But it doesn't mean that when the production value wasn't at here, that this is better than that or vice versa, right? And so that's something that really sticks with me. Like as a Grenadian, I realized like, even though somebody might not know how popular this is and this might not have its 10,000 and its 100,000 views, I don't see things based on people's validation of it. And I always think when you give people an opportunity to just make their thing and perfect it, you'll be surprised what they come up with.
That's a fact. And a lot of it is resources as well and infrastructures that somebody may perceive to be more fair. If somebody heard that I'm making 30% of a penny every stream, they might be detoured from taking this on as a full-time job. Not everybody is Drake that could get millions and billions of whatever the hell views that he gets, and probably authentically, and will be making a bag off of that. It's very difficult for a young aspiring person because again, if I sold that mixtape, I'm getting $5. So if I get 10 of them in a day, that's $50. I do that for a week. There's something to look forward to. But the 30% on a penny is a big thing that you got to be aware of, but this is what I want to get into. Not everybody is Drake, right? Not everybody is Jay-Z that has the stature where no matter what, if Beyonce puts something tomorrow on Spotify, that's gone, right? Not everybody has that. What are your tips that you've seen from artists where they were able to take their music and elevate in different ways?
Okay, wow. I love this. And even like, I want to like jump on some of the things that you said earlier.
Yeah.
I wanted to kind of create that moment because I remember I came up with like Tory Lanez selling his CDs in front of Bramley. You know what I mean?
Wow.
I came up with that,
That's
right?
crazy.
And he'd be selling them for how much?
Yeah.
$5. What is the split of a subscription on stream? It's $4.50, right? So the idea that we could take this and say, hey, you don't have to be Drake to make money. You could actually leapfrog over all of these other people. Because once, let's say Tory Lanez was saying, hey, try out my stream membership, right? 1 month he made the mixtape. The next month, that's the subscriber stays, he makes it again, right? And he builds that relationship with that audience. So yeah, going back to what you said, I wanted to make this actually a sustainable career choice.
How can you as an artist, and based off of your experience seeing it, right, from your side of the analytics and data, how can an artist, or how have you seen artists take maybe their intermediate work or their early work and cultivate something that eventually grows to a point where it's like, you have a presence now?
Got you.
Because again, if you're whoever, Kanye, tomorrow if I put something on Apple Music, that's off. But not everybody could do that, right? And from a young, aspiring artist, what's your advice to how they can grow?
Got you. So building this startup, there was a model that is kind of like known in the music industry that I had to really research, and it's called meet us at the top. Like that's like what music is boiled down to. Meet us at the top, meaning get lucky. Get that viral moment, and then the labels come and they're like, hey, how can I help out? You're already at the top though. Yeah. So what can they help you with, right? And so what I would recommend for artists is building a level of resilience where you don't need anything from anyone. A lot of people don't realize that, Drake, Kanye, Beyonce, they spend millions and millions and millions of dollars in promoting and marketing their music, right? Now, a lot of artists, they read up on Jay-Z, Beyonce, Drake, and they're like, Kanye, and they're like, that's what I need to do. I need to spend that much in marketing, right? But no. You need to do marketing and promotion. Yeah. You need to do it, right? But you're not there. You're not at that level yet. So that looks different, right? Like I think I was talking to somebody about this. Like a tree has stages, right? When it's a seed, it needs different things from when it's from when it's a sprout, from when it's a full blown tree, right? And so you have to think about all of these stages and develop strategies that work for that stage. Because it might seem counterproductive, but trying to operate in the music industry, in the same way that Drake does, can be counterproductive for an artist that is at a different scale, right? And so I never sell something to somebody without trying it myself. So when I developed Stream, I had to put myself in the shoes of an artist, and I created strategies around how to market and promote the platform as though I was an artist, right? And I've built strategies that are tried and true and they work, but it's not like this. It's not like 10,000 followers.
Tomorrow,
It's today's 1, tomorrow's 2, the day after that it's 4, the day after that is 8.
The day after that is 0.
You know what I mean? And then 200. Right.
That's the game.
And it's a slow game that is that's not sexy to a lot of people, especially I think a lot of artists are in love with music and they look at their idols and they want to get there immediately. Right. But I watched Tory Lanez do this for 10 years. For 10 years, I saw him go up and down. Like you said, he hit 0, right? Yeah. He got a deal with Sean Kingston. Somehow that didn't really work out. He had to build it up again, right? But one thing that I learned, because I was kind of I had mutuals, right? So I kind of got a kind of behind the scenes window of how things were going. And I remember it was in the Facebook days, right? When he started touring, within 6 months, he made $600,000. And that's when I realized it shows. Just like I realized for my business as well, creating community and bringing people to events is really helps to build what you're doing. It's the same thing with artists, except they got that magic power where it's like, what does music do? Like music is what people like to do in groups. They like to experience music, right? So a strategy that focuses on making appearances and being at shows is really important. And it doesn't have to be the biggest show. Go to open mics. If people like your music, a lot of people at open mics are musicians themselves. then start to connect with them. When you get a small group that you guys really like your music, whatever, put on your first show, have 50 people come out, have 100 people come out. And our platform is Stream, right? So if you kind of like reach out to us and you're running shows and you're a Stream member, do it through Stream membership, right? If you have 100 people come out, that turns into like $500 a month, right? So
right. I don't know if you're familiar with La Russell. If you're familiar with La Russell.
Yeah.
So his strategy,
yes. Even he's with Even Biz, right? Yeah.
But in general, just his overall strategy where this topic is concerned is something I really appreciate, and your sentiments of what you say kind of reflect that, and in your own way, which is something I value. And somebody, I'm assuming you're a younger gentleman, just forward thinking like that is amazing for our culture, and it's something I would definitely want and am, showcasing and championing on our platform. The artists and the soca industry, it's a hot topic that soca needs to be global. There's some people that say it doesn't need to be global. It's our thing. Just like you said earlier, the island of whatever, that's their thing. And we love it, but it just may not have blown up like how we would love to see it blow up. With that being said, what's your take on whether or not soca should go global?
Why are you doing this to me, man?
We gotta hear
I'm about to do it and disappear.
Like Homer Simpson.
Yeah.
But from somebody doing such a big project, I would definitely want to hear your insight on that and what your plans are to help it grow.
Where it's concerned with all music, I think artists need to consider gatekeeping their craft, gatekeeping it, right? So what I'm saying is that when you upload your music to a streaming platform, guess what? Culture is currency. You're giving them money, right? Because they're marketing their platform based on the music that's on there, right? So we have this unique opportunity to be empowered because it's like data, right? You're giving it up to them, right? So think about that, right? Don't think I need to be on Spotify because that's where everybody's at. No, think about what Spotify gains from you and be strategic, right? There's different platforms. You can play these platforms off of each other, to guarantee your success. I tell artists all the time, you get everything that you get from Spotify with YouTube. You get a higher payout, the largest platform on earth, most listeners on earth. It's accessible. So a lot of people say, I need my music on Spotify because everybody's there. Yeah, there's no platform more accessible than YouTube. And guess what? People don't even have to pay a membership and you can still get a payout, right? So in my opinion, there is a lot of people that feel like soca has not reached the level of I guess recognition that it deserves, but by whose metric, Because soca is such a organic and authentic genre that a lot of genres with way more behind them, infinite money to spend on marketing promotion have not been able to maintain a consistent culture the way that soca does. Which culture has has a festival pretty much in damn near every state, country, and island in the world, and it's all powered by soca. We did that, and I mean as a culture, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think, sometimes, I'm from Toronto. And I'll say this with my full chest, we have an inferiority complex in Toronto, right? Sometimes we feel like if they didn't give us this accolade, then we weren't successful, right? So I think that kind of applies a little bit when it comes to soca. Sometimes I hear about people talk about soca and talk about it like it is not what it is, like it hasn't accomplished what it has accomplished, because we don't have an artist that got a, I don't know, Grammy. I don't know what it is. You know what I mean? Some accolade, right? A Pulitzer or whatever. Who cares about all that, right? Look at what we've done. Look at what our artists have done with literally, the bare minimum in terms of resources, right?
Yeah.
So for me personally, the things that I'm bringing to the music industry are actually things that I learned from the soca, the culture of soca. Every island has like soca monarch, right? And it has judges and everything, but a lot of it is crowd participation, which decides who the winner is, right? And that's why you get a genre where every year you're like another hit, another hit. It's hit after hit after hit after hit, right? So I think We need to be proud, and those other industries need to look and be like, how are they able to do this without any fuel, without any, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that there isn't hard work to be done, right? There is work that we need to do to make sure that the culture is sustainable and that it stays alive. And part of that is like with our initiative right now too, right? Where it's like, all right, if we're successful, we're not gonna like create the ground floor and then say everybody, you have to know somebody to get in, right? If we're successful with this and the mixes that we're doing with DJ Gel and hopefully other Soca DJs that come on board, we're not gonna create this like elite world where you have to know somebody to get in, right? We have to break that up and open it up, right? Because that is good for everybody. To have the best music and the best artists get a chance to be on the platform is going to be good for everybody. And I think that's the same for Soca, right?
Right. No, I love it, man. You definitely got your head on with all this stuff. Before I get into the last couple of points, I definitely want to thank Swanky and the Swanky family for letting us use their space for this dope podcast we have here today. So big up the Swanky team. Make sure and check out the restaurant, and you'll see them outside every fete in Toronto, every big fete. One thing I want to touch on, and is based off of the commentary you had with like a bigger artist's budget and their ability to market themselves at a high level. You guys out there will have to realize that you don't have that budget. So just because Kanye West put $1 million into something doesn't mean if you put the exact same $1 million into something that it's going to bust, it's going to blow up. It doesn't work like that. Because Kanye is in a position to do that, he may find value in finding something at a deal which may cost $2 million, but the returns of that are crazy. And a perfect example of that, his Super Bowl ad. Mm-hmm. How much did he pay for that? It was, I think, $7 million or something, or $2 million or something like that. A few million, let's just put it that way. The returns he got from that within a couple nights was like $20 million. Mm-hmm. So that's him working at his level,
at his scale, yeah,
the way he should. And you should just relate that to not the fact that you need a Super Bowl ad, but do the best with what's available to you. Buy something at what you can consider a cheap cost and use that to elevate your business, right? That's a very important thing. And I think younger artists need to younger anything, whatever you are. Mm-hmm. If you're a young entrepreneur, you have to realize there are no excuses. There are none. You have to get it done. Whatever dream you have to figure it out. Whatever comes in your way, you got to stop that or you got to block it out and keep pushing forward. If you continue to make excuses, you're just going to stay where you are. The point is just utilize what you have and don't make excuses. Again, like you said earlier, today you might get 1 new follower. Tomorrow you might get 2. The third day might be 0. The fourth day might be 50. But that fifth day could be 100,000.
Yeah.
And that was because of the first follower you had look at your video that told Chris Brown to say, yo, check this guy out. And you just never know. That's how life works. And if I sat here and told you stories, you'd be shocked. And that, like, I've witnessed it happen because I'm living it right now. And the stuff that I'm realizing is like, I didn't realize the work that I was putting in was being recognized by certain individuals. It's crazy. And that's what I would encourage young entrepreneurs, young artists, young DJs, etc., to really think about. Now, you mentioned earlier DJs. You know, you find it stupid that streaming platforms don't put us on. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what is your initiative to have us included?
Okay, actually, because I've been thinking about this a lot. Yeah. Some of it I can't reveal because it is where, some ideas
Infancy
for the platform,
stages.
Right? For the product, right? So I can't put it out there because I know they're looking. I know Spotify's like, what do you say? But the problem, let's just like diagnose the problem rather than going into the solution. Got it. Apple Music didn't understand, Apple didn't understand music when they created iTunes. So they were big enough to, create iTunes, and yeah, it helped to rebound sales. It was like a Band-Aid on the problem, right? But then streaming comes around and it's like, oh, wow, people really don't want to own music. They just want to experience it, right? And that's like, there's a cultural competency there, right? DJs exist in the music industry because they always have. Like, there's always been people who you're like, yo, put me on.
Yeah.
Right? right? Like put me on, like where'd you hear that? Where'd you hear that? Right? There's always that person in the friend group that always has new tracks, right?
Got it.
Because there's just a type in society. There's a type of person who just gravitates to wanting to collect, that music and be that person, that tastemaker, whatever, right? And so with stream, all I've tried to do is look at music not just as an industry but as a culture, and identify things that exist in that ecosystem. And stream as a platform, as a digital platform, is just thinking about what can we create where parts of this ecosystem can interact with each other with the most ease, right? So DJs have to have a place in music in our platform, right? Spotify thinks, and other platforms think, you know what, you're gonna get an AI DJ. Oh, it's gonna collect all the data on you and know exactly what to show you, right? And like, I think it's cool. Like, I'm a nerd, right? So stuff like that I think is it's cool, right? But the thing about music is a culture, music is human, it's human experience, right? And so art is not artificial. It's just not, right? Even with artificial art, all artificial art is it's a big data set of real art. And it's just trying to present it to you in different ways that you ask for, right? So the artist never leaves the equation, right? And I think trying to take DJs out of the equation and replace them with playlists is just silly to me. It's just stupid, right? But when you're talking about business, you're talking about entrepreneurship, and especially at that corporate scale, what do they love to do? What are they taught in business schools? Cut costs, right? And human is the big cost, right? So I think a lot of platforms maybe got a little too ahead of themselves and, lacked the hubris to realize like, oh, you actually can't cut DJs out of the equation. Because when we take that next step, which will require us, building membership, right? Like, I think building the platform through membership was really important to me versus just running after investment, because I need to build something that's sustainable before, having bosses that have to, you know what I mean? Investors are bosses, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's going to lead to us being able to create a platform that centers DJs and has a role for DJs in the next iteration of it. But that's when we drop that, that's going to be a real game changer. So I got to be low key about that.
No problem. But as long as you have us in mind, that's the point. So where DJs are concerned, and I guess we'll wrap this up, Hidden Fete. So at least you're incorporating DJs in that way. Hidden Fete, talk about it, what's it about? And I know it's happening Toronto Carnival weekend, 2024. So let us know what's Hidden Fete.
All right. So, what's the buzz right now? Toronto's in the news for everything. Everybody, apparently they think we made up our culture. They think we made up how we talk and all of that, which is crazy. But a lot of people don't realize, Toronto just has a massive amount of, descendants from the Caribbean, right? So we're in that. We're aware of the culture. We're a part of the culture. We contribute to the culture. We just haven't always been given our flowers, right? And a big part of Toronto that I think I would like to see change is the fact that when it comes to soca, I feel like we are known more as passively a part of it, right? We're not actively a part of it, right? Like a lot of people don't know that there's soca artists and that they're good, right? We're just known for going to fetes and enjoying fetes, but we're not seen as actually participating in the culture and producing soca artists. And I wanted to change that. So with Hidden Fete, just imagine fetting at a hidden location in the heart of Toronto, and beside you are a bunch of soca artists as well who are fetting alongside you. You're gonna get put onto soca that you never knew existed. That is gonna blow your mind. Even there's a lot of artists that you've heard of that you didn't know they were based here. So we're gonna have 4 DJs, a secret lineup, and we're gonna really show you what Toronto has to offer. And it's gonna be for members of our streaming service only.
That's awesome. So that's definitely building that community aspect of it. I love to see it, man. And there's a little surprise, people.
Ooh.
You may be able to win yourself a pair of tickets to our Carnival Monday event, Soca Has Juve, which we'll be sponsoring to the Loud Army, to give away to 2 lucky people that get yourselves involved with Hidden Fete. So make sure you subscribe to this amazing platform we've talked about for the last hour. Make sure you hit up Hidden Fete. And my brother, I want to thank you so much. Before we get out of here, let them know where they could find you.
Yeah, so we're on Instagram and YouTube as well. On Instagram, it's just loud.army. Our website is www.loud.army, where you can learn all about stream and all the fantastic things that we're up to. And if you're looking for us on YouTube, try at @loud_army.
That's awesome, man. Ladies and gentlemen, that is our time. The Up From Here podcast. DJ Busby, KP. Appreciate you, my brother.
Thanks for having me.
People, check it out. This is an initiative in our Soca community that is necessary. And once again, big up the Swanky family for having us in their establishment to do this podcast. Until the next one, people, it's the Up From Here podcast, and we are out.